thank you for coming to my video. Today we're going to be talking about fractions and operations with fraction. So first we're going to be discussing a couple of concepts. The first one is something called a least common denominator. Or the LCD. And what this is, it's the smallest value that all denominators can be divided into equally. Alright, so whenever we add or subtract fractions, which we'll be getting into in a bit, we have to find a least common denominator, which means that the denominators have to be the same, and denominators have to be factors of each other, and they have to be able to be divisible by the same number in order to get a whole number. So for example, if we have 3 and 4, and for example, plus 7 over 12, well, we can't do this. First, the denominators have to be the same. All right, so we look at the multiples of each number. So we've got 12, 24, and then we'll do 4. So we got 4, 8, 12, 16. Well, we've got 12 here and we've got 12 here. So that means that 12 is the lowest common denominator. All right, so we can multiply 4 by, 1, 2, 3. So that way the denominators will match. So then we'll multiply whatever we do to the top, we have to do to the bottom. So we'll get 9 over 12 and 7 over 12. All right? Now, the next concept we're going to go over is the concept of equivalent fractions. Which is when the top and the bottom of one fraction can be multiplied or divided into a number to get a second fraction. Alright, so for example, if we have 3 and 8 and 9 over 24, well, we know that these are equivalent fractions because 9 divided by 3 equals 3, and 24 divided by 3 equals 8. Similarly, 3 times 3 equals 9, and 8 times 3 equals 24. All right? Another way to tell if a fraction is equivalent is you could divide them, and if they both get the same decimal, then that means that they're equivalent. So for example, 1 over 2 and 2 over 4. Well, first of all, when you reduce this, so you divide 2 by 2 and 4 by 2, you'll get 1 over 2 anyways. And if you, use a calculator or divide, you go 1 divided by 2, well, you get 0.5, and then 2 divided by 4 is also 0.5. Now the next thing we're going to be going over is adding and subtracting fractions, which I already kind of mentioned earlier. So the first step you want to do is you want to find the lowest common denominator. Then you solve the equation but keep the denominator. And then you reduce if possible. Alright, so those are the steps. Now we're going to go over a example. So the first example that we're going to go over is 1 over 2 plus 2 over 3. Alright, so now again, the denominators aren't the same. So the denominator is the bottom number and the top number is the numerator. So we've got to consult our multiples of number line. So we've got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. After you've done a couple, move on to the other denominators. We've got 3, 6, 9, 12. Alright, so we can see that they both have 6 in their number line. Now, the reason why it's called the lowest common denominator, the lowest common factor, is because we want to choose the first number we see that's in both multiples of. Now, if I continue to go in the 2's, well, I'll get 12. And both have 12, but we want the lowest. So we're not going to choose 12, we're going to choose 6. So we're going to make 6 the denominator for both. Now we got to look at the numerator, because whatever you do to the top, you've got to, whatever you do to the bottom, you've got to do to the top, and vice versa. So in order to get from 2 to 6, well, 6 is third in the 2 multiple number line. So 2 times 3 is 6. So you do 1 times 3, because that's in the numerator. 1 times 3, just 3. And then in the 2 over 3 fraction, well, in order to get from 3 to 6, you have to multiply it by 2. So whatever you do to the bottom, you've got to do the top. So 2 times 2 is 4. And then we just do add the numerators like normal. So 3 plus 4 is 7, and then you keep the denominator. So this is an improper fraction, and the answer is 7 over 6. And then the same rules would apply for subtracting, except the operation you would use would be you would subtract and you wouldn't add the numerators. Now, next thing is you're going to multiply. Now, multiplication is very, very simple because you're just going to multiply the numerator and the denominators. Together. And then, as usual, for every type of fraction equation you're going to do, you're going to simplify at the end, if possible. Alright, so we're going to do an example here. So we've got 1 over 2 times 4 over 9. Alright, and well, we're going to multiply the numerators and the denominator. So 1 times 4 is 4, and then 2 times 9 is 18. And then we can simplify this because 4 and 18 are both in the 2 number line. So if we look, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18. Well, 4 is second in the 2's number line, and 18 is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. All right, so if we divide the numerator and the denominator by 2, our final answer will be 2 over 9. And this is our simplified final answer to 1 over 2 times 4 over 9 is 2 over 9. Now, dividing fractions is also quite simple. All right, so the first thing you're going to do is you're going to flip the second fraction and change the operation to times instead of divide. All right, and same thing, simplify if possible. All right, so those are the steps. So the example we're going to do here is 2 over 3 divided by 5 over 7. Well, we're going to change this to be 2 over 3 multiplied by 7 over 5. And then we'll just multiply fractions as normal. So 2 times 7 is 14, and 5 over 3 is 15. All right, and then you can't reduce this any further because 5, well, if you look at the 15 number line, 5, 10, 15, and then 14 is part of the 2 multiple, so 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, well, there's no number that they share in common, then you could divide it by in order to reduce the fraction. All right, now there's one concept that I want to talk about. So there's the concept of mixed numbers, mixed and improper fractions. So remember in the first example, how the answer was 7 over 6? Well, that's called an improper fraction because the numerator is larger than the denominator. All right. A mixed number is when there is a whole number and a fraction. So if we want to turn 7 over 6 into a mixed number, well, it would be 1 and 1 over 6. And then in order to turn it back into an improper fraction, you multiply the denominator by the whole number, so 6 times 1, and then plus 1 equals 7, and then you keep the denominator. So these are equivalent fractions because at the end of the day, they mean the same thing, but this is a improper fraction and this is a mixed number. That concludes the end of my lesson. Thank you for watching. Be sure to subscribe and thank you.